As I go along my own conscious living journey, I'm learning so much, experimenting and broadening my horizon, taking what resonates with me now and leave the rest for later or maybe forever. In that process, I managed to pinpoint what my priorities and non negotiables are, which does give a lot of clarity and assistance in my own self actualization. By now, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that inner peace, balance, and freedom are my holy trinity. No blasphemy intended, of course. And for the new listeners, welcome. Now you've been informed. But in all seriousness, I'm very big on freedom and independence. I absolutely love to travel. I think that's when I feel the freest, so much lighter and more connected to humanity. But especially after over 2 years of restricted long distance travel, and now the travel restrictions seem to have been lifted in most countries, I ask myself if travel or money or the lack of ties or commitments or any external element for that matter, is it what we define as true freedom? With the title of the episode, you probably guessed my answer already. It's a no for me. This is not how I would define true freedom. If anything, having our physical movement restricted by governments for that long, this past few years taught me something, is that you cannot be restricted nor limited from the inside. If you have the willpower to, of course. I know it sounds weird, said like that, but bear with me. I'll explain. To me, it means liberating yourself from the inside, liberating ourselves from our mental prison. Because we can be free from an external perspective, but are we free inside of ourselves? And if we're not free inside of ourselves, is it truly freedom? So freeing yourself from the confines of your mind doesn't only give you a sense of freedom, but it's extremely powerful. The kind of quiet power that will uplift you and help you get through every storm. Certainly a little bit roughed up, I gotta say, but ultimately making you stand tall on your own 2 feet. And that's what we'll be exploring today. Listen up to this jam. Let's start at the beginning. What does finding freedom from within or inner freedom mean? I went on the internet to try to look for a definition of inner freedom. I found many, but I will read only one of them. They're pretty much all similar. This one says, inner freedom is the capacity of individuals to assume the responsibility they have, making conscious adaptive decisions. Inner freedom can be earned by those individuals who are able to assume the responsibility for the adapted actions in an environment, being able to leave aside their own needs when making decisions. So, to my mind, once again, personal take here, I feel like most of the definitions of inner freedom that I came across were extremely complicated, and you still don't know what it really means after reading them. So I think it's missing the point of being a definition. So I'm going to make my own. So we'll try to define that through this episode and get a better grasp of what it truly means to find freedom from within. And another question to start with would be, why is inner freedom the only true form of ultimate liberation? Can we just talk about freedom in general or external freedom? Why inner freedom is most important and the ultimate liberation? I believe it's the only true form of ultimate liberation because your reality is a mere reflection of your thoughts and beliefs. Once again, if you have listened to this podcast, Conscious Matters, for a while, you're already familiar with the different subjects we did on mental health, the subconscious mind, and conscious communication, and so on. All of these topics, which essentially revolve around the power of the mind. And you know me with my obsessions with the intricacies of the mind. So knowing that, all of these, you know that your reality is a mere reflection of your thoughts and beliefs. I'd like to believe if you liberate yourself from the inside, automatically you will never be shackled by any external element anymore. Whereas when it depends on external factors, you're not truly free because the moment that they are taken away, what happens then to your supposed freedom? It just vanishes as the simple illusion it was. That's why I think inner freedom is the truest form of liberation. If you find your own freedom from within, nobody can imprison you. ever any form of control or putting ideas in your head that you don't resonate with or being influenced. But at the end of the day, what is inner freedom for? Why does it even matter to have inner freedom or liberation? To some people, maybe it doesn't even matter that much. Maybe it's not even at the top of the priority list. But for others like me, it really is essential. I would say to me, it matters greatly. And I'd like to think it's the same for a lot of people too, because inner freedom eventually helps you connect deeper with yourself, to lose yourself in the present moment, to let go of your fears, of your limiting beliefs, of your old story scenario playing in your head, of all of the toxicity in your mind that we are all putting inside ourselves at one point or the other, letting go of the impulses and reactions. That inner freedom will also help in refusing to drink the poison given by others, in a sense of not believing the words of people talking bad about you or not taking their non-constructive criticism to heart. And with that, you'll end up just letting go of the opinion of others and completely minding your own business. I think it's also because it helps you to reconnect with your true being, with your true self, embodying that true self and expressing that true version of you, the person you aspire to be, the one who's already within you without all of the conditioning, the need for external validation, without the consequences of past pain and hurt, and just getting back to you, to your true self. Once again, I'm going to repeat that a lot for a lack of better word. Yeah. So going back to your true self is essential in the sense that we're here for a limited amount of time. We were all born different for a reason. We all have a specific role to play. To avoid repeating myself, I won't get too deep into that since I got into the nitty-gritty of it already in one of my previous solo episodes titled Living Your Purpose in 2022 and Beyond. But to put it shortly, in there I was saying that we're here on this earth to realize ourselves, to live our purpose while we can, but also fulfill our life missions. And I was saying that I don't really believe that our purpose is just one thing, but maybe an umbrella that encompasses different missions, maybe around the same theme, that you have to accomplish throughout your life, or that you have the option that is very encouraged to accomplish throughout your life. And to do that to the best of your ability, you have to be authentic to yourself. You have to be okay in acceptance and harmony with your unique character traits. That's only when you are your true self that you are able to do that from an individual perspective. That's why I think that finding freedom from within has tremendous benefits, including inner peace and mental space. You literally blocking out all of the air quote noise of all of the, once again, conditioning, debilitated ideas, negative thoughts, negative thinking patterns, and everything that is not serving you, but actually making you self-doubt and self-sabotage instead, which eventually result in not living your purpose, not living as your true self, not being genuine, not being authentic, and lying to yourself in a sense. So from an individual perspective, I think it gives you a lot of peace and a lot of mental space and a lot of clarity as well to know how to be the happiest or the most content and satisfied in the way you interact with yourself, with others around you, and also how you live your life, your aspirations, your passions, how you spend your time, how you treat others, how you treat yourself. That is from an individual perspective. But then again, it starts with you before reaching others. Let's take a moment to reflect on that quiet power that I was mentioning in the intro. It always makes me think about Nelson Mandela. If I recall properly, when sharing his incredible story, there was a part when Nelson Mandela was imprisoned in a high security prison on an island for 27 years. 27 years. Can you imagine? 27 years literally shackled in a itty bitty cell, but he still managed to find freedom for himself in these circumstances and ultimately for his country. To this day, he's still the voice of freedom. How can you find forgiveness in such despair and also looking at things from another perspective, acknowledging that there is not only one truth, but a multitude of truths will have to work together to find common ground? So your own perspective and the other people's perspective because of their own experiences, because of their own upbringing, character, and personality, and probably even ancestral lineage as well. So if he managed to find freedom in these conditions, what are we doing? What are we doing? That experience actually gave him so much power for all of the revolutionary actions he took afterwards for his country, and also inspiring other nations too through his actions and words. I cannot even imagine how being in prison, even for the shortest time, but especially for such a humongous amount of time, can do to your mental health, and how you can literally get out of there completely cuckoo, a complete shadow of your past self. However, for Nelson Mandela, that allowed him to find unshakable power. This man got out of prison, out of this horribly long sentence, and a few moments later, he turned out to be the president of the whole country, which was deep into segregation, deep into pointing fingers at each other. Yet he managed to find the beauty in everything and bring people together, like thinking about the higher cause. And that allowed his people to trust each other for the first time, despite the differences. He even joked about it in his book, Long Walk to Freedom. Quoting him, he said, "In my country, we go to prison first and then become president." And another quote as well that shows how Nelson Mandela truly find mental freedom in prison is when he said, "As I walked out the door towards the gate that would lead to my freedom," here physical freedom, "I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." And I think when he talks about bitterness and hatred, it's like these negative thoughts, negative emotions, and then still be in prison. Of course, it was like the prison of the mind as well. So he will be outside, but in prison of his thoughts and emotions. I think he had that much power because he found the power within himself, thanks to finding freedom from within, and let go of everything that was not serving him within his head first, talking about self first. Once you help yourself, it's only then that you can have a better impact on the collective. And that's where, from a collective perspective, finding freedom from within also has tremendous benefits, because if more people find freedom from within individually, it will definitely add up. So more people will feel good within themselves, and that will be good for the collective. Plus, just like the story of Mandela, seeing one person doing the work and the incredible and almost impossible results they managed to create thanks to that work actually inspires you to do that too for yourself. Or actually question, like, how come you managed to do that? What was your process? What did you have to go through? Do you have tips? What skills are needed? How can I learn to get the skills? So, yeah. Can you see the benefits of inner freedom from the collective perspective too? When I'm saying collective, I'm just talking about a group of people, big or small. It could be a family, a group of friends, your town, your city, or it could be your community, or a little larger than that, or your country or society at large. From even the smallest group to the biggest one, we still all have an influence upon each other. Okay, wait. I'm thinking as I'm saying that, is it conditioning too? Positive conditioning for sure. So maybe it's not. Hold on. No, I don't think it's conditioning, because you still do the work yourself and you still see what matters to you, what feels true to you, what feels authentic to you. Whereas conditioning, to me at least, is more like the same recipe for everyone. Whereas here you understand the recipe of someone and you make your own. So it's not conditioning. Yeah. It was just a little moment of doubt here, but I think I'm fine with my answer. But let's backtrack a little bit and go back to what I was asking at the beginning. What is inner freedom? From everything said before, we can now say that it's actually getting rid of your inner saboteur, which is all about self-criticism, negative thoughts, self-doubt, procrastination, and so on. Everything that is usually stuck in your subconscious. You think that, or you do that without even realizing that you do. It is more automatic here. It is where you will have to check yourself constantly. It's also getting rid of the victim mentality, which makes us think that we are powerless, that we are not the one deciding on our life, on our existence on this earth. Even though I think it's important to acknowledge that we don't all have the same privileges. Of course, some people are much more privileged than others, and we all privilege in one way or the other. Some will have tougher limitations in their lives than others, but it doesn't mean that you cannot transcend them internally. Despite everything, despite the obstacles one can encounter, maybe the money issues, a disease, or multiple ones, the busy schedule, the loneliness also. Some people do all of that work all by themselves. You would never guess what they're going through or have been through, and how they're silently picking themselves up as a lone wolf without anybody knowing they're suffering, no support, no nothing. And that's super, super hard, having to deal with your shadow, your conditioning, your bringing, your traumas all by yourself. But it is not impossible. You eventually rise up from the ashes. That is if you're committed, if you're patient, if you're also kind to yourself, but ultimately you will find that inner freedom. And there is this book, which was recommended to me by a therapist, which is amazing. If you haven't read it, please do. It's super short. It's called The Four Agreements, A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom by Don Miguel Ruiz. And he literally sums up 4 agreements that you have to make with yourself to be able to find your personal freedom and to live a life that is much easier, actually, than the one that we putting ourselves through. So the first agreement is being impeccable with your word, how you speak to yourself and others, as well as not letting the words of others affect you. The second agreement is not making assumptions, because we love living in our heads sometimes. Somebody is not going to answer you in the hour or the next 2 hours. You will have a whole scenario going on. And I'm the same. So, so I know. So not making assumptions, agreement number 2. Number 3 is not taking anything personally. Most of the time, if not every time, how people will interact with you is a mere projection of their own relationship with themselves. So 99.9% of the time, it has nothing to do with you. So yeah, don't take anything personally. That's the third agreement. And fourth agreement is always doing your best. Your best won't look the same every day, but at least always do your best. I think he added 1 or 2 bonuses. I can only remember one. One was living in the here and now, which is tremendous, especially in the fast-paced society we live in. So really being centered into the here and now. And I can't remember I'm not even sure that it was like a second bonus one or not, but please go read that book. It's transformative, truly. The only hard thing is to follow these 4 agreements every single day. All in all, if we have to summarize here for this part, is taking responsibility for yourself, letting go of the victim mentality. I talked more extensively, more in details, more in depth about this victim mindset in the previous episode about the productivity culture being one of the causes of depression and anxiety. So you can check out the episode right before this one to have the full picture. But what I can say here is that, yes, we are the product of our environment. We all are, on top of other things, of course, but our circumstances do not define us. We have to stop blaming things and people and take responsibility for ourselves and our lives. We're in charge of ourselves, nobody else's. Unless you're a kid, and that's a different story. But I believe that I'm talking to adults. So even talking to myself when I say, take responsibility of yourself, of your life. You are powerful. Don't blame anyone else. Stop pointing fingers. It's you. You're in charge of your life and of your being. And then it will be about acting on everything you ever wanted. But before, define what it is that you really want. And create that space, that environment, that mindset that will allow you to flourish as your authentic self and to live in your truth, being truthful to yourself, being committed to yourself, to your self-development, self-empowerment, and self-realization. Stop caring about what other people think about you and set yourself free. Make yourself feel how you want to feel. Literally breaking free from the old, the toxic patterns, from everything that is not serving or supporting your growth the best way. Reconnecting with yourself, finding peace and harmony from within, and transmitting that outside of you to create a reality, your reality, built on your sense of purpose, joy, clarity, confidence, positivity, and fulfillment. It's about you. It's about you and yourself finally getting out of your own way. And that will be thanks to the inner work you're tirelessly doing on yourself for your well being, that you will be able to make a positive impact on people around you and inspire other people to do the same for themselves. So, yeah, little by little, from an individual and inner perspective to an outward one, the collective general well-being can get so much healthier, and living that conscious life once you start with yourself and then you spread that energy and work to others. I don't care if people feel some type of way about others talking about self-love, self-empowerment, and self-development, saying it's selfish. The work starts with you first before you can reach anybody, from family to the stranger online. And that's that. It starts with you. Otherwise, like, how, I don't know, like, to me, it doesn't even make sense. And there's this great quote by Eric Walton that summarizes that. He says, to seek out your own inner peace is the greatest gift you could ever hope to give to this world. So it's from the inside out. It's not from the outside in. I mean, even though the outside has influence in, but you know what I mean. So getting rid of that victim mentality, take responsibility, and also add getting rid of the savior archetype. I mean, not everybody has the savior archetype stuck in the head, or the fixer syndrome, as I like to call it. But I think it will be relevant for probably most of the people I'm talking to here on this podcast, and that I've been talking to during all of these previous episodes. Usually, like, we listen to people we kind of identify with, or at least have similar personality traits. So I think my message goes to the people who are givers, healers, empath, people who want to help others as much as possible, and sometimes at their own sake. So here for you guys, it's super duper important to find freedom from within by getting rid, or at least taming, the savior archetype, which pushes us to want to rescue and fix every struggling soul out there, despite the consequences on your own well-being. It's important to always give a hand, help, and give as much as you can. It's in your nature, so don't change yourself because of others. But always remember that you cannot save someone who doesn't want to be saved in the first place. You cannot do the work for someone else, nor taking others' burdens as your own, but you can free yourself and live by example. Hopefully, it will inspire them to live their life in a similar way. Always set strong, healthy boundaries with others and your own self too. Like, know your limits. And when things are starting to become unhealthy, and when things or people are taking too much away from you. I learned it the hard way. So if I can provide you with some prevention, here it is. Now you've been informed. So all of that is really nice and informative, but how do we get to that inner freedom, inner peace state? How do we do it? How do we get there? I love practicality. So I was thinking of some practical steps, but then again, I don't think it's like step 1, step 2, step 3, since, as I was saying before, it's your own recipe that you will have to make. Therefore, I'm just going to talk about different things, and hopefully you'll be able to go from there and make your own list of practical steps. Just keep in mind that the most important thing is, the more you know yourself, your thinking patterns, the easier it will be to quiet down your inner chatterbox. You know, the one that keeps on going on all the time, the one that doesn't want to shush, especially when you really want to. Yep, that one. But I think the trick is to develop your conscious mind as much as possible to discipline your subconscious. Because there's a good chance all of those icky thoughts would still be there in your subconscious, but your conscious mind can choose where to turn up or turn down the volume, which thoughts to give more importance, more space, and which ones to stop focusing on. Thanking them for the input, but knowing better. Be mindful of your thoughts in order to see things clearly and create the reality you wish and deserve. So the more you know yourself, the more you will have the power over your mind, or at least your thoughts. The mind is the one controlling the emotions and the body. These two are merely acting in reaction of the mind. They're just automatic. Let's say you're thinking about a sad event. You will start feeling uneasy, miserable, upset, and the physical reaction following that will be that you will start crying. Your body will start shaking while sobbing, which essentially mirrored the emotion triggered by that simple thought that you had. Both your emotions and body are a response to the mind. That's why befriending your mind and making it your best ally, aka making it work for you rather than against you, will lead you to your inner freedom. When I'm saying befriending, I'm talking about being self-observant, self-aware, choosing which thoughts to quiet down, if not to get rid of it totally, and which one to give more power to. The more you focus your attention on something, the more you create more of it. That's a fact. That's neuroscience. It is what it is. So in the end, it's about choosing and taking responsibility. Once again, I know it's hard to hear when we've been trained to believe that we are victims of our circumstances. I say no to that. You are not your past. You are not a puppet that others can play and move around as they wish. You were born inherently worthy of living the life you want for yourself. You have power over your thoughts. The other way around, which essentially means your thought having power over you, doesn't serve your best self. And here again, I'm talking like that, but I know, trust me, I know that some people have to deal with very, very hard circumstances. To some extent, everybody have had hard things to deal with at some point in their lives, but you have to do the work. These hardships, obstacles, these challenges cannot stop you. You got to do the self-awareness work by challenging yourself, by going to therapy, even by yourself, by consuming content that teaches you how to do so. So it may be books, videos, podcasts, listening to inspiring and uplifting conferences, affirmation music, etc. Hype yourself up with spoken or silent words. Fears and doubts are literal poison for the mind, and therefore for the emotions and the body. Not only they cloud our vision and our consciousness, but they make our imagination run wild and attract everything we do not wish for. Doubts and fears are energy, but directed in the wrong way, in the wrong direction. And that energy only needs to be redirected, transformed, or transmuted into unrevering faith in yourself, in your path, in your abilities, and believing that you can handle anything. You are here for a reason, and that is to find that inner freedom to live your purpose. Only then, once you all hyped up and you did that self-awareness work, practice taking responsibility for the way you choose which thoughts you need to give more attention to and how you choose to live your life. If you focus on consuming violent or depressing content, then mingling with groups of people who are mainly about gossiping, criticizing, and judging others while starting unnecessary drama, in that environment, no matter how positive you're thinking or choosing uplifting thoughts to find that inner freedom will be almost impossible, or at the very least, very challenging. And vice versa. If you are in the most encouraging, positive environment, but you are too stuck in your ways, you let the nastiest thoughts run into your mind and are too stubborn to let that environment influence your thoughts and choose instead to stick on dwelling to the one that brings you down or restricted, finding freedom from within will be very, very hard. All in all, it's clear that it's a combination of different things and it's not one size fits all. What I come across most of the time, especially on social media accounts talking about positive thinking, self-love, and the law of attraction, etc., most of them only talk or center around changing your thoughts only, and then you will live the most amazing life. Yes, okay, that's true. Changing your thoughts will bring you that amazing life. But before that, You have to do the work of actually understanding why you're thinking like that first, or at least getting some sense of that understanding, pinpointing your limiting beliefs, and then getting rid of them. And to get rid of the limiting beliefs, most of the time you have to understand, okay, I think like that because in the past, or the way that I've been brought up, or my parents were thinking like that, and they unconsciously passed on their own limiting beliefs to me. So now they are stuck in my own subconscious. How can I be conscious of that thought within the subconscious and transcend it so I can get rid of these limiting thoughts and implement new, positive, encouraging, supportive, and empowering thoughts that will replace the limiting ones I just let go of? Sprint cleaning your mind before being able to incorporate new replacing thoughts is crucial. Or maybe it's just me wanting to make sense of a lot of things first, but I'm not the only one thinking like that. I really do think that it will be more beneficial for everyone that we insist much more on that part. Yes, changing your thoughts is crucial. It ends up bringing magic and manifestations, but for it to work properly, you have to do the groundwork first. It's just like trying to make plants and flowers grow on a soil that is all ruined or that is simply not the healthiest. You need to make the soil healthy first, then plant the seeds, water them consistently for a long time, always rethinking on adjustments to make sure they're good, checking the soil regularly to make sure it's not going back to the unhealthy state it was in first, and then being patient. Eventually, you will be able to watch them grow and beautifully blossom. You cannot just throw the seeds on rotten and nasty soil hoping for the best. No matter how many seeds you keep on pouring into the soil, they're not going to grow if you haven't done the groundwork first. And it's the same for the mind. Think of your mind as this healthy soil that will make beautiful flowers and plants grow and blossom. Some periods of your life will be harder than others. That's life. It's actually in the hardest times, I think, from experience, that you do the most incredible inner work that will make you jump miles and miles ahead in the future. You'll gain so much time afterwards since you won't be doing the same mistakes, process things differently, and not let unimportant things in the long run weight you down. And why is it in the hardest times that you're doing the most amazing inner work? I think it's because usually it's when there is so much pain that you have no choice other than doing the work if you don't want to feel that pain anymore. So don't feel bad if you're in not the best situations or not the best phase in your life. You can still do the work and you will actually, and most probably do it much, I'm not going to say better, but much quicker than many, many other people who are in best season in their life. So just to summarize the steps, because I've been talking a lot. So let's try to go back to the practicality. Just to summarize the steps. 1, be self-observant and self-aware. Pinpoint where you thinking not that positively. Your triggers and your self-limiting beliefs. Contemplate them, understand them, thank them, and get ready to let them go. The only control you have is over yourself, your thoughts, and your actions. Become aware of your thoughts, the things you tell yourself, the illusion you created in your mind. The second step, do the work, take responsibility, clear your mind from intrusive thoughts that are working against you, and reinforce the ones that raise you up. Prepare the soil to add more of the latter, giving them much more mind space than ever before to reframe your thinking pattern. And the last step, be patient and optimistic. Keep on practicing because practice makes it better. Doing all of that not only will help you know and choose how to respond to life obstacles and challenges in a way that supports your well-being, it will also enable you to create a life that embodies your true essence, a life that is fully your creation, your choice, one that exudes joy, positivity, confidence, and fulfillment from your own perspective, intrinsically yours. Yeah, literally yours, not about what others put on you, not about their own definition of freedom, their own definition of joy, positivity, confidence, and fulfillment, your own. It will be that personal freedom that will provide you with a clear mind that will help you create your life and giving you choice in literally everything you do. And not even everything you do, but also everything you think, how you act, how you react, because you won't be reacting anymore. You will have enough self-awareness and consciousness to be able to act instead of react, giving you so much wise choice in everything. Not only giving you choice for you with everything that I stated, but also for your life generally, with other people, from who you have in your life, who you'd want to work for or work with, how you'd like to work, your environment, where you want to live, how you want to live, what kind of house or apartment would meet your specific needs. And also letting go of some needs that you will realize are not necessary anymore, or that are actually holding you down in the shackles you were in before. So yeah, that's a lot of work. But as per usual, everything that I say here is so much easier said than done, but not impossible. It won't be easy at all. I'm going to be truthful here. And it's a long process that I think is, I'm not going to say it's never ending, but it evolves. It evolves, but it's long. I think that truly working on yourself is probably one of the hardest thing ever, because all of these years of conditioning and multiple past experiences are so ingrained in us and forged fixed mindset for the longest time, literally as long as you can remember even. So it feels like the hardest challenge ever, and you are your own opponent. But to me, it's a non-brainer. You have to work on yourself. Like, we have to work on ourselves. Otherwise, how do you expect other people to act with you as if they've done their own work? To be aware, perceptive of your needs, of your wants, of your triggers, etc., if you don't even know yours. Self-realizing your true self is definitely not the easiest. I'm repeating that so it's clear. It's so hard. It's so hard. And I think that's why a lot of people are not doing it and prefer being uncomfortable in the familiar, in the matrix. It's easier to ignore your problems and follow, I guess, like follow the crowd. But that's what we've been taught since the beginning. So no judgment here. It's a mere fact. So I guess it's normal to think like that initially. But then again, you have to challenge yourself and think differently, think in a way that will serve you well-being the best way. And it will eventually pour into others people's lives too. One major reminder throughout all of the work you have done or you will be doing to find inner freedom would be to already accept that it won't be a daily successive occurrence, to fully embody personal freedom all day, every day. At least at first, maybe and hopefully in the future it will be. But at first, I think we have to humble ourselves and be truthful too. Like, it's not going to be magic and rainbows all day, every day. So some days you'll be in that freedom mindset. Other days you'll let external factors deroute you. And that's okay. The most important thing is to have that awareness and get yourself back into a state of being, a state of mind of your own choosing, instead of being jerked around by others or your environment. The most important thing is trying, doing it step by step, and eventually it will add up and you will find and stick to your inner freedom. Whew. Okay, so that has been my take on inner freedom. I'll be curious about knowing what's your personal take on finding freedom from within. Just you and yourself. Ask yourself that question and adjust your steps toward it from there. But in any case, let go of the pain. Don't let your past, your circumstances define you, because you are limitless. Keep on dreaming and believing of a better tomorrow. Keep on creating your own reality. Even if your reality right now takes some time to change, go step by step. Take one day at a time. As always, there's no limit on what you can achieve. Believe in yourself, trust the process, and be real patient. Be patient, be patient, be patient. Be freakishly patient, because you will need it. I think it's the thing with resilience that you will need the most. We will need the most. Because even if I'm saying you, like I've been saying you like a lot, I think, I'm including myself too. We are on the same boat here. So I should probably say we. But yeah, It will take some time, but if you don't give up, if we don't give up, it will happen. All right, all right. So it was a long episode. I hope that you've learned something or you got a confirmation on ideas you already had, or you got mad at something and you want to tell me off so we can debate. As usual, you know where to find me. All the links are in the show notes, including the podcast Instagram, which is conscious.matters. Feel free to interact on there with me and with the content that's already on there. Also, don't forget to check out the blog post of this episode at www.yu.com/consciousmatters in one word. And yeah, that's a wrap for me. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.